What's going on, everybody? We're going to be doing right now the chapter 6 of the DMG, starting with Mount Celestia. We've gone all the way from the Abyss through Mechanus, which is that is a lot, but there's a lot more to go through. This is a big chapter. This is so much of the DMG. But we're going to get through it. Okay. All right. No. Okay. All right, let's do this. Let's see how far we can get. Last time we ended with Mechanus, so we're going to do some continued coverage of the Dungeon Master's Guide. Going over cosmology. Chapter 6 is cosmology. It is the best chapter so far, because this is straight lore, and it's great stuff. So far, the DMG is substantially better than the 2014 version, and the 2014 version wasn't bad. This is just far and away a lot better. First of all, look at this picture. Look what we're dealing with here. Oh, I don't have you guys here yet. Let's go to roll 20. Let's do this. There we go. What up, Trey? Alright, now we're on roll 20. Okay, that should be working. Let's get a zoom on. Let's go to 150. Too close. A little too close. Mount Celestia. Hell yeah, dude. Alright, let's keep going with chapter 6. We have Mount Celestia. The 7 heavens of Mount Celestia rise like a mountain from a shining silver sea to utterly incomprehensible heights, with 7 plateaus marking its 7 heavenly layers. This plane is the model of justice and order, of celestial grace and endless mercy, where angels and champions of good guard against incursions of evil. It is one of the few places in the plains where travelers can let down their guard. Its inhabitants strive constantly to be as righteous as possible. Countless creatures aim to reach the highest and most sublime peak of the mountain, but only the purest souls can. That peak fills even the most jaded of travelers with awe. The pervasive goodness of Mount Celestia bestows blessings on creatures in the plane, seen in random mental effects in chapters 3. I've already gone over this, but look at this picture! I don't know how these are drawn, but these are incredible. Look at that. Look at that, like, it's not a lens flare, but it's like a fire flare. Wow. That is rad. I love the stone, like, guarding on these waterfalls on the edge. The walls there, pretty badass. Pretty badass. It's such a wide shot, like you were looking at towns and everything, but it's so far away. The 7 heavens of Mount Celestia beckon virtuous souls toward ever greater heights. Okay, the layers. We have Lunia. In the silver heaven, the holy water of the silver sea laps at the base of Celestial Mountain under a starry sky. I've done some stuff in Lunia. I think I've had some like beach episodes in Lunia, or beach stuff happen in some of my games in Lunia. It's pretty rad. Mercuria, the golden heaven's tame slopes and lush valleys are bathed in golden light that evokes the hope of a new dawn. Venya, in the pearly heaven, terrace fields and tended woodlands dot the snowy slopes. Solania, in the crystal heaven, holy shrines glitter under a silvery sky and luminescent fog. Cool? Mertian, on the sweeping plains of the Platinum Heaven, holy soldiers muster in grand citadels for battles across the plains. Now we're getting into it. Jovar, the glittering heaven, strewn with beautiful rubies and garnets, is home to the 7-tiered heavenly city. Cronius, the illuminated heaven, is an ineffable mystery. Ineffable means you can't name it, right? Well, you just did. You called it the illuminated heaven. But I guess it's not... I guess it's vague enough. What up, Sensei? Mount Celestia Adventures. The plane of ultimate law and good is sometimes imagined to be the most boring place in the multiverse, but in truth, Mount Celestia's nature makes it the target of unrelenting attacks by evil forces. The devils of the 9 hells in particular long to corrupt the goodness of the 7 heavens. The Yugalos of the lower planes covet the wealth of this plane, particularly the mines of Solania and the scattered gems of Jovar. and the demons of the abyss would like nothing better to smear the filth of the gleaming purity of Mount Celestia. But while fiends of all sorts launch doomed assaults on the shores of Lunia, evil's true foothold on the plane is in the heart of those well-meaning visitors who bring their secret shame and hidden sins to the holy mountain. Whoa, secret shame. An adventure in Mount Celestia is an opportunity for characters to prove themselves worthy of the many blessings it offers, or to become worthy by forswearing the selfishness, greed, and hatred that lurks in their hearts. On the edge of a clear lake in Mertian stands the city of Imperia, renowned for the healing power of its fountains and springs. Pilgrims from across the plain seek out the healers, hospitals, and restorative magic found here. I mean, yeah, this could be like, so an adventure could be like you get diseased with someone, or someone in your party gets diseased, and the only cure is to go to heaven and bathe in the waters there. Negative plane. Cupped like a bowl beneath the other planes, the negative plane is the source of necrotic energy that destroys the living and animates the undead. A lightless void without end, it is needy, greedy plane, sucking the life out of anything that is vulnerable. Heat, fire, and life itself are all drawn to the maw of this plane, which always hungers for more. To an observer, there's little to see in the negative plane. It's a dark, empty place, an internal pit where a traveler can fall until the plane steals away all light and life. Merely entering the plane is comparable to the life-draining touch of a wraith, so only creatures that have immunities and necrotic damage can survive there for long. Oh boy. In some locations on the negative plane, the intensity of the plane is so great that the negative energy folds in on itself, stabilizing into solid chunks of matter that devour light. These chunks, called void stones, are thought to be the source of spheres of annihilation and similar magical effects. Anything that comes in contact with a void stone is destroyed in seconds. I just read about something called a void monster? Yeah, void monster. Meaning like not a rust monster, but a void monster. Let me turn this down, there's a bit much. Oh, it's as down as it goes. Never mind. So a void monster touches you with its giant antenna and it destroys anything it touches. Negative plane adventure. Adventure on the negative plane is face-to-face confrontation with annihilation, which is unlikely to end well for the adventurers. Even if their magic enables them to survive the environment of the plane, the experience tends to drain all vitality, energy, and happiness from body and soul. The negative plane has all the apathy and despair of Hades and the Shadowfell, combined and concentrated in an infinite expanse of non-being and uncreation. So, maybe like a sojourn, like a quick transitional spot in an adventure through the negative plane. It sounds like it's real bad to go in there. So like a place between adventurers. You're trying to get from one plane to another and you accidentally end up in the negative plane. So you have to get out as fast as possible before it annihilates you. Sounds like high level stuff. Okay, the 9 hells. Dante's Inferno. Let's do this. The 9 hell inflames the imaginations of travelers, the greed of treasure seekers, and the battle fury of all moral creatures. It is the ultimate plane of law and evil, and the epitome of premeditated cruelty. The devils of the 9 hells are bound to obey the laws of their superiors. But they squabble with their own individual castes. Most undertake any plot, no matter how foul, to advance themselves. At the very top of the hierarchy is Asmodeus, who is yet to be bested. If he were vanquished, the victor would rule a plane in turn, such is the law of the 9 hells. The 9 hells is 9 layers. The first 8 are ruled by archdevils who answer to Asmodeus, the Archduke of Nessus, the 9th layer. Collectively, the rulers of hells are called the Lords of the 9. To reach Nessus, one must descend through all 8 layers above it in order. The most expeditious means of doing so is the river Styx, which plunges ever deeper as it flows from one layer to the next. Only the most courageous adventurers can withstand the torment and horror of that adventure, of that journey. Layers of the 9 hells. Here we go. Avernus. The blood war rages across battlefields littered with corpses and the wreckage of hellish war machines. Displane. Which plane? Displane. Iron roads and deep canyons lead to the dreaded Iron City of Dis. Minaris. Acid falls like rain on putrid bogs and decayed cities. Phlegathos. Obsidian fortresses bask in the heat of raging volcanoes and magma rivers. Stygia. Levistus' prison is a frigid hellscape of jagged ice and cold fire. I had one adventure that was pretty much just about Levistus. Or it ended up being in Stygia. That was the last, the final plane was Stygia. Melbourge. An ever-crumbling mountain threatens to bury visitors. Maladomini. These names are badass. Maladomini. Swarms of hungry flies plague dead cities surrounded by utter desolation. Cania. Ice-trapped cities provide shelter in a realm cold enough to freeze the soul. And finally, Nessus. So you have two cold prisons in hell. You've got Stygia and Cania. Nessus. Mighty fortresses stand watch over the deepest pits in the nine hells. Look at this! The first of nine hells, Avernus, is an eternal battlefield in the Blood War. Check that out. So you got a giant mountain in the distance. What looks like badass, demonic, or devilish war machines. War bikes. Here's some just straight up Mad Max war bikes. That's cool. By Asmodeus' order, no planar portals connect directly to the lower layers of the Nine Hells. The first layer of Avernus is the arrival point for visitors, a rocky wasteland with rivers of blood and clouds of biting flies. Fiery comets occasionally fall from the darkened sky and carve out fuming and impact craters. Empty battlefields are littered with weapons and bones, showing where the legions of the Nine Hells prevailed against invading enemies. The archdevil Zariel rules Avernus, having supplanted her rival Bel, who fell out of Asmodeus' favor and was forced to serve as Zariel's advisor. Tiamat, the queen of evil dragons, is prisoner on this layer, ruling her own domain but confined to the Nine Hells by Asmodeus in accordance with some ancient contract, the terms of which are known only to Tiamat and the Lords of the Nine. Great. Zariel appears as an angel whose skin and wings are scorched. Her eyes burn with a furious white light that can cause creatures looking upon her to burst into flame. Her seat of power is a flying basalt citadel that rakes the battlefields of Avernus. Dis, the second layer of the Nine Hells, is a labyrinth of canyons wedged between sheer mountains rich with iron ore. Iron roads span and wind through the canyons, watched over by garrisons of iron fortresses perched atop jagged pinnacles. The second layer takes its name from its current lord, Dispater. A manipulator and deceiver, the Archduke is devilishly handsome, bearing only small horns, a tail, and a cloven left hoof to distinguish him from a human. His crimson throne stands in the heart of the Iron City of Dis, a hideous metropolis. Planar travelers come here to conspire with devils and to close deals with night hags, rakshasas, incubi, succubi, and other fiends. Contracts signed on his lair contain special provisions that allow Dispater to collect a cut of the deal. Cool. This is very cool. There is a devil called a contract devil. I'm not sure if it's 5e. But I love that image. It looks very much like your standard, just standard devil, but he's got a gigantic scroll and he's loaded up with scrolls and contracts. Dispater is one of Asmodeus' most loyal and resourceful vassals, and few beings in the multiverse can outwit him. He is more obsessed than most devils with striking deals with mortals in exchange for their souls, and his emissaries work tirelessly to foster evil schemes on the material plane. Minaris, the third layer of the Nine Hells, is a stench-ridden bog. Acidic rain spills from the layer's brown skies, thick layers of scum cover its putrid surface, and yawning pits lie in wait beneath the murk to engulf careless wanderers. Gross. Cyclopean cities of ornately carved stone rise up from the bog, including the great city of Minaris, for which the layer is named. The slimy walls of the city rise hundreds of feet, protecting the flooded halls that are the lair of Mammon, the Archduke of Minaris. Mammon resembles a massive serpent with the upper torso and head of a hairless, horned humanoid. Mammon's greed is legendary, and he's one of the few archdevils who will trade favors for gold instead of their souls. His lair is piled high with treasures left behind for those who tried and failed to best him in a deal. Phlegethos, the fourth layer, is a fiery landscape whose seas of molten magma brew hurricanes of hot wind, choking smoke, and volcanic ash. Within the fire-filled caldera of Phlegethos' largest volcano rises Abrimak? A fortress city made of obsidian and dark glass. With rivers of molten lava pouring down its outer walls, the city resembles the sculpted centerpiece of a gigantic hellish fountain. Cool. All right. Abrimak is the seat of power for the two archdevils who rule Phlegethos in tandem, Belial and Fierna, Belial's daughter. Both are handsome devils who resemble tieflings with red skin and small horns. Belial exudes civility, even as his words carry an undercurrent of threat. His daughter is said to have the wickedest heart in the 9 hells. The alliance of Belial and Fiorna is unbreakable, for both are aware that their mutual survival hinges on it. Stygia. The 5th layer of the 9 hells is a freezing realm of ice within which cold flames burn. A frozen sea surrounds the layer, and its gloomy sky crackles with lightning. Archduke Levistus once betrayed Asmodeus and is now encased deep in the ice of Stygia as punishment. He rules this layer all the same, communicating telepathically with his followers and servants, both in the 9 hells and on the material plane. Stygia is also home to its previous ruler, the serpentine archdevil Gurion, who was dismissed by Asmodeus to allow the imprisoned Levistus to regain his rule. Gurion's fall from grace has spurred much debate within the infernal courts. No one is certain whether Asmodeus has some secret cause to dismiss the archdevil, or whether he is testing Gurion's allegiance for some greater purpose. Okay. It's a lot of like the politics revolves around Asmodeus tricking a lot of different other archdevils. Malboge, the 6th layer, has outlasted many rulers, among them Malagard, the Hag Countess, and the archdevil Moloch. Malagard fell out of favor and was struck down by Asmodeus in a fit of pique, while her predecessor Moloch still lingers somewhere on the 6th layer as an imp, plotting to regain Asmodeus' favor. Malboge is a seemingly endless slope, like the sides of an impossibly huge mountain. Parts of the layer break off from time to time, creating deadly, booming avalanches. The inhabitants of Malboge live in crumbling fortresses and great caves carved into the mountainside. That's awesome. I mean, that's just right for adventure right there. You literally have, like, a cave that is collapsing while you're exploring in it, and while you're constantly, like, going up. Malboge's current ruler is Asmodeus' daughter, Glasia. Her cruelty and love of wicked schemes rival those of her father. The citadel that serves as her domicile on the slopes of Malboge, called Osia, is supported by cracked pillars and buttresses that are sturdy yet seem on the verge of collapse. Beneath the palace is a labyrinth lined with cells and torture chambers, where Glasia confines and torments those who displeases her. Cool. Maladomini. This is the best name ever. Maladomini. The 7th layer of Maladomini is a ruin-covered wasteland. Dead cities form a desolate urban landscape, and between them are empty quarries, crumbling roads, slag heaps, and the hollow shells of empty fortresses and swarms of hungry flies. The Archduke of Maladomini is Beelzebul. Maladomini is Beelzebul, the Lord of Flies. He's a tall, powerful devil with the compound eyes of a fly. The Archduke has long conspired to usurp Asmodeus, yet has failed at every turn. Asmodeus laid a curse on him that causes any deal with him to lead to calamity. Asmodeus occasionally shows Beelzebul favor for reasons no other Archduke can fathom, although some suspect that Asmodeus still respects the worthiness of this adversary. Cania, the 8th layer of the 9 hells, is a frozen hellscape whose ice storms can tear flesh from bone. Cities embedded in the ice provide shelter for guests, and prisoners of Cania's ruler, the brilliant and conniving archdevil Mephistopheles. Mephistopheles, by the way, is the final boss of the end of Neverwinter Nights. Yeah, you fight Mephistopheles, because of course you're level 20. You fight a devil, archdevil. Mephistopheles dwells in the ice citadel of Mephistar, where he plots to seize the throne of the 9 hells and conquer all the planes. He is Asmodeus' greatest enemy and ally, and the Archduke of Nessus appears to trust Mephistopheles' counsel. Mephistopheles knows he can't dispose Asmodeus until his adversary makes a fatal miscalculation, and so both wait to discover what circumstances might turn them against each other. Mephistopheles is also a godfather of sorts to Glasia, further complicating the relationship between Mephistopheles and Asmodeus. Shouldn't agree to be a godfather, man. Mephistopheles is a tall, striking devil with impressive horns and a cool demeanor. He trades in souls, as do other archdevils, but he rarely gives his time to any creatures not worthy of his personal attention. It is said that only Asmodeus has ever deceived or thwarted him. Nessus, the lowest level of the 9 hells. Nessus is a realm of dark pits whose walls are set with bleak fortresses. There, pit fiend generals loyal to Asmodeus' garrison their diabolical legions and plot the conquest of the multiverse. At the center of the layer stands a vast rift of unknown depth, out of which rises the great citadel spire of Mal'Sheem, home to Asmodeus and his infernal court. Mal'Sheem resembles a gigantic hollowed-out stalagmite. So it's coming, stalagmite's ground, so giant hole, stalagmite coming up. The citadel is also a prison for souls that Asmodeus has locked away for safekeeping. Convincing him to release even one of these souls comes at a steep price, and it is rumored that Asmodeus has claimed whole kingdoms in the past in exchange for such favors. Asmodeus most often appears as a handsome, bearded man with 4 large horns. Oh, 4 horns, damn! Piercing red eyes and flowing robes. He can also assume other forms and is seldom seen without his ruby-tipped scepter in hand. Asmodeus is the most cunning and well-mannered of archdevils. On the surface, he seems warm, pleasant, and lighthearted, doling out wisdom and small acts of kindness like a caring father. The ultimate evil he represents can be seen only when he wills it so, or if he forgets himself and flies into a rage. Here he is, folks. He's got a hellhound next to him. Asmodeus, the Lord of the Nine, maintains a veneer of pleasantry, while inflicting agony on imprisoned souls. Hell yeah. Literally. Hell yeah. Artist Zoltan Boros. I'm gonna start calling out these artists, because it's really good art. Oh, the Infernal Hierarchy. This is cool. So they're literally giving you, oh, this is great. You got lemures at the bottom, just gross little lemures. Then you have imps, spine devils, bearded devils, barb devils, chain devils, and bone devils. I don't want to say. I'm done with Mossdale. Anything that gets added to Mossdale Tray is like gonna be small stuff or like things that players add themselves when they go through it and they want to know what's in a particular place, and I'll just add content then. But there's enough content. I don't feel the need to add anything right now. Greater Devils, Horn Devil, Erinyes, Ice Devil, Pit Fiend. Erinyes. Archdevils. The Archdevils include all the current and disposed rulers of the Nine Hells, as well as the fiendish aristocrats that make up the courts, attend them as advisors, and hope to supplant them. When a promotion and demotion, when the soul of an evil mortal sinks into the Nine Hells, it takes on the physical form of a wretched lemure. Archdevils and Greater Devils could promote lemures to the Lesser Devils. Archdevils could promote Lesser Devils to Greater Devils, and Asmodeus alone could promote a Greater Devil to Archdevil status. All diabolic promotions involve a brief, painful transformation, with the devil's memories passing intact from one form to the next. Low-level promotions are typically based on need, such as when a pit fiend transforms the lemures into imps to gain stealthy spies under its command. High-level promotions are almost always based on merit, such as when a bone devil that distinguishes itself in battle is transformed to a horn devil by the archdevil it serves. The devil is seldom promoted more than one step at a time. Demotion is a customary punishment for failure or disobedience among the devils. Archdevils or Greater Devils can demote a Lesser Devil to a lemure, which loses all its memory of its prior existence. Ooh! An Archdevil can demote a Greater Devil to a Lesser Devil status, but the demoted devil retains its memories and might seek vengeance if the severity of the demotion is excessive. Oh, wow. Whoa. No devil can promote or demote any devil that hasn't sworn fealty to it, preventing rival archdevils from demoting each other's most powerful servants. Makes sense. Since all devils swear fealty to Asmodeus, he can freely demote any other devil, transforming into whatever infernal form he desires. It's good to be the king. Nine Hells Adventures. The Nine Hells embodies the cruelty and corruption of law turned to evil ends. The devils of the Nine Hells are more cunning, more insidious, and far more dangerous than other fiends. Their intelligence, their delight in deceit and manipulation, and their unhindered pursuit of their own agendas make them truly terrifying foes. A descent into the Nine Hells is a journey into the heart of evil. Every shred of evil is used in the Nine Hells, and each layer specializes in some way to accommodate and exploit the vices and weaknesses of mortals. Far too many people who make such a journey discover their own hearts aren't immune to temptation and corruption, and they end up making the Nine Hells their eternal home. To avoid such a fate, good-hearted adventurers must resist the insidious manipulation, deceit, and treachery of devils, even when the devils promise to fulfill their deepest longings. If you haven't been watching Trey Urban Hawk Tim and I play some Minecraft D&D. We've been playing some Minecraft D&D, and so far, we started out in the countryside on the Sword Coast, then we went to Candlekeep, and now we've gone to Icewind Dale. It really is a tour of Faerun and the Sword Coast. And so far, we've dealt with an infernal cult, opening a portal to hell, and also star spawn. So we're dealing with some far realm like Cthulhu stuff. And now there was a portal opened up to the abyss. So I mean, they're really hitting every branch on the tree in Minecraft D&D. It's pretty wild. I'm very impressed. Come check those out Saturday nights. Tim, Trey, and I are enjoying the hell out of ourselves. Those devils in their strict HR departments. Yeah. Well, I mean, hell is just like, they get it right. It's just like never-ending, perpetual bureaucracy. That sounds like hell to me. Outlands. The Outlands lie between the outer planes. It is a plane of neutrality, keeping all aspects of the planes in a paradoxical balance, simultaneously concordant and in opposition. The plane has varied terrain with prairies, mountains, and shallow rivers. The Outlands is a great disk. In fact, those who envision the outer planes as a wheel point to the Outlands as proof, calling it a microcosm of the planes. That argument might be circular, since the arrangement of the Outlands inspired the idea of the Great Wheel in the first place. Fun. Evenly spaced out around the outside of the circle are the gate towns, 16 settlements, each built around a portal leading to one of the outer planes. The gate towns of the Outlands table lists all 16 gate towns in the outer planes they connect to. Each gate town shares many of the characteristics of the plane where gates lead. Planar emissaries often meet in these gate towns, so it isn't unusual to see strange interactions, such as a celestial and a fiend arguing in a tavern while sharing a fine bottle of wine. Here are your gate towns. There's a lot of them. If you want a good introduction to them, like, I highly recommend playing the game Planescape Torment. As the Wandering One, the Nameless One, you have to go to Cursed. That's the one. That's one everyone remembers. I think might be the only gate town you go to. But in Cursed, or maybe do you go to Ribcage? No, that's from a different adventure. Ribcage. In Cursed, it's all about like it's the one on the border of Carcerai. So everything's about like paranoia and being imprisoned, and everyone's distrustful of each other, and paranoia is ripe. So the more you add to that, the closer Cursed begins to fall into Carcerai itself. It's just really well done. Outlands Adventures. Okay, the Outlands is the closest to the Outer Planes that come to like being a world of the material plane. Adventurers can travel easily from one gate town to the next, making a tremendous variety of planar-themed adventures possible within the boundaries of the Outlands. Adventures in the Outlands often involve the conflict between opposing planar influences. Yep. It's much easier for a Slod to wreak havoc in the gate town of Automata than it is for even a horde of Sludai to accomplish anything in the Mechanus itself. Celestial spies and fiend assassins carry out subtle plots and deadly sabotage across the Outlands. Despite these conflicts, the Outlands remains a plane of balance. Towards the center of the plane, away from the gate towns, lie vast stretches of land, similar to different environments found in the world's material plane. Preserving nature's balance from the pull of powerful extremes in any direction can also be a theme of adventures here. Planescape Adventures in the Multiverse has a huge section on the Outlands. Like, so much of it happens in the Outlands. There's a castle that walks around. You actually go inside the Infinite Spire at one point. It's pretty wild. I recommend it. I recommend taking adventures there. Pandemonium. Pandemonium is a plane of overwhelming chaos, a great mass of rock riddled with tunnels carved by howling winds. It is cold, noisy, and dark with no natural light. Wind quickly extinguishes non-magical open flames such as torches and campfires. It also makes conversation possible only by yelling, and even then only to a maximum distance of 10 feet. Most of the plane's inhabitants are creatures that were banished to this plane with no hope of escape. The incessant winds force them to take shelter in places where the howls of the wind sound like distant cries of torment. Layers of pandemonium. Pandesmos. Howling winds, dark streams bound to the river Styx, and blowing snow pours through vast, desolate caverns. Cocytus. Winds blowing through narrow tunnels create a stronger force and louder wails, making this the so-called layer of lamentation. Well, Phlegethon. Tunnel walls absorb light while water creates intricate rock formations. Agathion. Sealed off tunnels are largely inaccessible from anywhere else, making them ideal as vaults for ancient secrets. Whoa. Whoa. Check this out. Pandemonium Adventures. Pandemonium is a plane of last straws. The incessant howling of its winds brings everyone on the plane, sooner or later, to the edge of lashing out in frustration, breaking down in despair, or dissolving into incoherence. Madness. We're dealing with madness here. And then some event, force, or creature on the plane pushes them over that edge. Simply existing on the plane is exhausting. Trying to accomplish even a basic conversation is aggravating. An adventure in Pandemonium can be a way to explore what happens to characters on their worst day, when everything goes wrong and the howling wind won't let up. The trick is to convey that frustration that characters are bound to experience there without transferring that frustration to the players. A jagged spike somewhere in Cocytus called Howler's Crag is rumored to have a unique magical property. Anything yelled from the top of the crag is said to find the ears of its intended recipient, carried on a shrieking, frigid wind, no matter where in the multiverse that person might be. Oh, great. I mean, that's an adventure right there. You have to deliver a message, and the only way to do it is to get on the Howler's Crag. Alright, artist Chris Rallis, drawing some badass adventurers. We got a ranger type. We got some howling monkey over there. Oh, they're going to Howler's Crag. And we have a druid, probably, and then a wizard or sorcerer type, a dragon man. Cool. All right, we've only got... Oh, God, no, there's so many, guys. There's so many. There's so many. There's so many planes. There's so many. Okay. Or did I skip through so many? Oh, never mind. No, there's still a lot. There's a lot. We're gonna have a part 7, but that's why we're doing this every Sunday. Parallel elemental planes. The regions where the elemental planes collide and their elemental substances overlap are called parallel planes. The plane of ash. On the plane of ash, also called the Great Conflagration, howling winds from the plane of air mixed with the cinder storms and lava of the scene of fire. This plane is an endless storm of flame, smoke, and ash. The thick ash obscures sight beyond a few dozen feet, and the battering winds make travel difficult. Here and there, ash clusters into floating realms where outlaws and fugitives take shelter. What a terrible place to be. The plane of ice, also called the Frostfell, forms a border between the plane of air and the plane of water. This plane is a seemingly endless glacier swept by constant raging blizzards. We did this in our Planescape campaign. We went through the plane of ice. Frozen caverns twist through the plane of ice, home to yetis, remorases, white dragons, and other creatures of cold. The inhabitants of the plane engage in never-ending battle to prove their strength and ensure their survival. The Frostfell's monsters and bitter cold make it a dangerous place to travel. Most planar voyagers keep to the air, braving the powerful winds and driving snow to avoid setting foot on the Great Glacier. Plane of magma. The boundary between the plane of earth and the plane of fire is a great range of volcanic mountains. The plane of magma, also called the Fountains of Creation, is home to Azirs, fire giants, and red dragons, as well as creatures from the neighboring planes. Lava flows down the slopes of these mountains toward the plane of fire. Plane of ooze. The border region between the plane of water and the plane of earth is a horrid swamp where gnarled trees and thick, stinging vines grow from the dense muck and slime. Here and there in the plane of ooze, also called the Swamp of Oblivion. The Swamp of Oblivion. Stagnant lakes and pools play host to thickets of weeds and monstrous swarms of mosquitoes. The few settlements here consist of wooden structures suspended above the muck on platforms between trees. Visitors to the plane have sometimes tried elevating houses on poles stuck in the mud, but since no solid earth underlies the muck, even such structures eventually sink. It is said that any object cast in the Swamp of Oblivion can't be found again for at least a century. Now and then a desperate soul casts an artifact of power into this place, keeping it away from the rest of the multiverse for a time. promise of powerful magic lures adventurers to brave the monstrous insects and hags of the swamp. Very cool. I mean, anytime you have, like, you're literally digging for adventure, digging for an artifact where the digging is part of the adventure, and digging is the dangerous part. That's great. Para-elemental plane adventurers. The para-elemental planes are extreme environments, but fundamentally similar to places found in the material plane, the place where all four elements mingle freely. At a symbolic level, the para-elemental planes represent the interaction and sometimes a contrast between the forces and ideals embodied by their constituent elements. The plane of ash, for example, highlights the commonality between air and fire, the tendency to movement and change, given a destructive tone by the raging conflagration of the plane. The plane of ooze heightens the contrast between stable, rigid earth and steadily flowing water. Playing with the contrast. Positive plane. Just a bunch of people just being real nice. Just giving compliments. It's a compliment plane. You know, it's a body positivity plane. Like a dome above the other planes, the positive plane is a source of radiant energy and the raw life force that suffuses all living beings. Like the heart of a star, it is a continual furnace of creation, a domain of brilliance beyond the ability of mortal eyes to comprehend. It is a vibrant plane, so alive that travelers are empowered by visiting it. The positive plane has no surface and is akin to the elemental plane of air with its wide-open nature. However, every bit of this plane grows brightly with innate power. This power is dangerous to mortal forms, which can't handle it for long. Only creatures that are immune to radiant damage can survive there. So, just like the negative plane, you're dead. If you just hang out here too long, dead. Vibrant life, creative energy, and radiant health are the essential characteristics of the positive plane. Though touching this fundamental energy can be just as dangerous as entering the soul-siphoning annihilation of the negative plane. Characters who survive an excursion into the positive plane often find that it leaves them with a lasting charge, making it hard to calm down, to stem the flow of ideas, or to even sleep. Oh, brutal! On the other hand, they also find themselves the persistent resistant to disease and despair. Well, that's nice. You gotta be positive. You gotta be positive. It is interesting to think about, like, all the edition changes. I don't know what it was in first edition. I don't know what they had. I'm not sure if they had holy damage. I'm pretty sure in the first edition, if you did cure wounds to undead, it would hurt them. And then if you did, because it was positive energy that you were channeling, and I think they kept this through third edition as well. So they had something called holy damage. And they also had, so they had holy damage and unholy damage. Now the problem with holy and unholy damage is that they sound alike, right? If you're a DM and you're like, oh, he deals some unholy damage to you, the player could be like, and did you say holy? No, I said unholy. So they sound too much alike. So then we had, change it? Now I need to know. Was there good damage and evil damage at one point? I don't know. Now we're left with radiant and necrotic, which is great. But what we don't have anymore is if you deal necrotic damage to most undead, it hurts them. And radiant hurts just about anything, except for some celestials who are like resistant or immune. So it's a little bit more crunchy now. And you can no longer cure wounds on undead, because that just cures them now, even though it's positive energy. So we've gone back. We haven't gone back. Now it's just something different. I just think it's interesting. The Shadowfell. Whoa, dude. Look at this. Look at this. Okay. The Shadowfell. The Shadowfell, also called the Plane of Shadows, a gloomy dimension whose sky is a black vault, with neither sun nor stars. The Shadowfell overlaps with the material plane in much the same way as the Feywild. Aside from a bleak landscape, it appears similar to the material plane. Travelers from the material plane who enter the Shadowfell often observe landmarks similar to the world they left, but distorted and often sinister. A mountain on the material plane might be replaced in the Shadowfell by a skull-scaped rock outcropping, a heap of rubble, or the crumbling ruin of a once great castle. The forests of the Shadowfell hold sinister-looking trees, their branches reaching out to snare travelers' cloaks, and their roots coiling to trip those who pass by. Shadow dragons and undead haunt this bleak plain, as do other creatures that thrive in the gloom, including cloakers and dark mantles. This is artist Julian Koch, one of my favorite pieces so far. I'm loving the lines here. Look at this. I love anything that has like small adventures inside of it. Like you got a halfling and you got either a small dwarf or a gnome. Halfling looks like a wizard type. Then you got an archer, like a fighter archer. Very cool. The Shadowfell is a realm of death, despair, and dread. Shadow crossings. Shadow crossings are locations where the veil between material plane and Shadowfell is so thin that creatures can pass from one plane to the other. A blot of shadow in the corner of a dusty crypt might be a shadow crossing, as might be an open grave. Shadow crossings form in gloomy places where spirits and the stench of death lingers, such as battlefields, graveyards, and tombs. They manifest only in darkness, closing as soon as they feel light's kiss. Domains of Dread! Oh my god, there's so many! Alright, 1 second. Okay, we're gonna finish. Okay. We're gonna finish. We're finishing this. Finishing chapter 6. In the far-flung corner of the Shadowfell drips a hidden expanse of roiling mist and vague semi-reality. At this eerie edge of the multiverse, mysterious entities known as dark powers collect the most wicked beings from across ages and worlds within inescapable mist-shrouded demi-planes. In these shadowy prisons, the villainous beings become Dark Lords, able to exercise great power but confined to realms that twist their desires, capturing them in cycles of dread and despair. Mists surround each of the domains of dread, making it difficult to leave one domain and even harder to find a path to another. The mists rise and fall at the whim of the dark powers, and they can even slip across the planes to drag people unwittingly into the dread domains. Those who live in these domains ascribe all sorts of sinister stories to the mists, and supernatural happening, inexplicable disappearance, or malicious force can be blamed on the mist. The following domains of dread are among the most infamous. They are described in more detail in von Richten's Guide to Ravenloft. So you have Barovia, Stravan Zarovich, Borka. Amid two opulent estates and impoverished villages, two Dark Lords, the vicious poisoner Ivana Boristi and a childishly cruel stalker Ivan Deliznia, pursue their obsessive schemes. Valkovnia, empty countryside surrounds ruined or crumbling cities, only a few pockets of civilization fighting a losing battle against an endless plague of zombies. General Vladeska Drakov commands a fierce military force that desperately clings to power. A beautiful Kalakari, a beautiful land of rainforests, rivers, and lakes, is a quagmire of intrigue and despair as three royal heirs, transformed into monsters by their depravity and hatred, battle endlessly to claim the throne of their ancient dynasty. Lamordia. Inventors and scholars violate both natural and moral laws amid the frozen bogs and glacial expanses of Lamordia. The worst of them is Domain's Dark Lord, Dr. Victra Mordenheim, whose efforts to create life and abolish death have led to the creation of many monsters. Death and Mordant heralds the beginning of a haunted afterlife as a restless spirit, for this domain is a realm of ghost stories and hauntings. The dead here earn no rest, no finality, no peace, just a passage into a shadowy world of wispy phantoms, mournful groaning and clanking chains. Valakan, the devious hunter, Chakuna, roams the jungles of her domain, hunting the most dangerous beasts she can find. When she grows dissatisfied with simpler prey, she draws people into a fatal contest, ensuring that the land remains steeped in blood. Shadowfell Despair. Here we go. Mechanics. Here we go. Okay. When you deem it appropriate, love those kind of rules that say that. When you deem it appropriate. though usually not more than once per day. You can require a character not from the Shadowfell to make a DC 10 Wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the character is affected by despair. So, 1 to 3 apathy, characters disadvantage on death saving throws and initiative rolls. Whoa. That's cool. Like, you're not making a lot of those, but you feel it when you have to do it. Dread, 4 to 5, characters disadvantage on all saving throws. Ugh! Or Delusion, the character has disadvantage on ability checks and saving throws that use intelligence, wisdom, or charisma. Interesting. Cool, you can get rid of it. Sigil, the City of Doors. I think we've talked a lot about Sigil. We've talked in excess about Sigil on these. I do love Sigil, but I am going to skip a little bit of this. The city is the domain of the inscrutable Lady of Pain, a being whose purpose and goals are unknown even to the sages of her city. She appears almost human, though she is most definitely not. She wears ornate robes that shroud her body, and a mantle of blades coated in blue-green verdigris. Verdigris? A bright bluish incrustation or patina formed on copper or brass by atmospheric oxidation, consisting of basic copper carbonate. What? Okay. It's okay. Oh. It's kind of like a rusting effect. That's a bluish-green rusting effect, essentially. Cool. Very cool. That surrounds her mask-like face. No one is certain who or what exactly the Lady Pain is, but it is widely accepted she's on being on par with deities. Is Sigil her prison? Is she the fallen creator of the multiverse? No one knows, or if they do, they aren't telling. Whoa! Okay. Here we go. We got a tiefling hanging out, petting a tavern dragon, probably, that looks like, with a Modron looking on. Another tiefling in the background talking to a celestial and what looks to be a hag of some sort, making a deal with them. And then some just terrible mages in the back, doing their thing. Rad. The artist here is Katarina Ladon. In the cosmopolitan streets of Sigil, creatures from across the multiverse coexist in uneasy peace. Very cool. And last but not least, we have Ysgard. Ysgard is a rugged realm of soaring mountains, deep fjords, and windswept battlefields, with summers that are long and hot and winters that are cold and unforgiving. Its continents float above oceans of volcanic rock, below which are enormous icy caverns that hold entire kingdoms of giants, humans, dwarves, gnomes, and other beings. Heroes come to Ysgard to test their mettle not only against the plane itself, but also against giants, dragons, and other mighty creatures across Ysgard's vast terrain. Ysgard is the home of slain heroes who wage eternal battles on fields of glory. Any creature other than a construct or undead that is killed in combat while in Ysgard is restored to life and dawn the next day. Keep fighting! This is a great place to have, like, my next Darthork type place. Just set it on Ysgard. Just set it on Ysgard. Yeah. Yeah. Layers of Ysgard. Ysgard itself. Immense rivers of floating earth grind together in eternal rumbling. Muspelheim. The ground smokes and burns beneath the earthbergs of the top layer. Earthbergs? Nidavellir. Nidavellir. Floating chunks of earth are closer together, giving the appearance of endless tunnels with rich mineral deposits. The nature of Ysgard is glory earned through heroic deeds in battle. It is the euphoria of an athlete, the exhilaration of a summer storm, and the triumphant celebration of victory. Since those who die on the plain return to life to fight again the next day, Ysgard can overlook the horrors of war and focus entirely on the glory. An adventure in Ysgard can be the opportunity for lighthearted combat without consequences, for characters to prove their mettle against truly epic foes and perhaps even against each other. God, they're calling it out. They're calling it out! Adventurers might also find themselves on the plain of Ida, on the topmost layer of Ysgard, where daily festivals let warriors and athletes show off their bravery and skill. Or they might venture into the lower layers to face greater challenges, or secrets buried in the deep caverns of the plane. Very cool. Very cool. Oh, so much for Yeastguard. So much you could do there. Well, that's it, folks. We're gonna keep going with the next chapter of D&D in the DMG. Let's figure out what we got next. Let's go to the previous chapter. No, next chapter. Dang it. One second. The next chapter is gonna be treasure. We're gonna talk about treasure. Oh, there's a lot. Oh, there's so much. Treasure. Look at this black dragon. Look at him. The black dragon Onyx guards her treasure hoard in the ruins of Zaxxarath. Zaxxarath. Where's Zaxxarath? Oh, Dragonlance. Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. Temple of Mishakal. That's right. That's some Dragonlance stuff right there. Yeah, baby. All right, well, that'll do it, everybody. I will see you next Sunday. Thanks for hanging out for a bit. Appreciate it. Peace.